Thank you to Shortform for sponsoring this video. Hi, it's Simon. It's halfway through the year and I've been reflecting on what single productivity idea has had the biggest impact in my life. This has saved me hours and has made stuff seriously happen. So in this video, I'll tell you what it is, obviously, but most importantly, I'm gonna share the key ideas, tools and tech that can actually help you do it consistently. What? Oh yeah, what is it? Sorry. The idea is to do one session of meaningful deep work every day. Sounds simple, right? But trust me, it's easier said than done. How do you start? What do you focus on? How do you keep it up? How do you truly focus and avoid distractions and procrastination? Well, don't worry, I've got your back. And after a lot of trial and error, I'm unbelievably managing to do this almost every day. And here's how. Now, first off, the concept of deep work, put very simply, is to identify the one thing that can have the biggest impact in your life right now, and then create focused time and space to work deeply on it, away from other distractions. Now, the amazing thing about this is that if you manage to make this happen in the right way, you'll find, like I have, you can have more free time, get further towards your goals, but also I found it's grown my business and income faster, and it's removed stress and given me more guilt-free time off. You can read Cal Newport's book called Deep Work, which is where I found the concept, to learn more about it later on. Here's how to do it. So number one, work out what to focus on. You've got to set priorities, and I use something called the Eisenhower matrix, or the effort to impact matrix. This essentially means you can identify your one thing, as Gary Keller would call it in his book, The One Thing. You're looking for a high impact, high energy project that you can focus on to move the needle the most in your life. I recommend watching my video on how to use the effort to impact matrix via my link in the description after this. Now, the second thing that's really helped me is a way of planning out my day the night before and working out what would be the single most impactful thing I could get done. I put the single task linked to the project right at the top of that to-do list and leave it on my desk or computer screen for the morning. That means you can just low friction walk in and start. Now, I think you also have to, through a bit of trial and error, work out when you are most likely to get things done. Now, for me, that's the morning, and I use a combination of my second brain system in Notion and my analog to-do list system to set my to-do list in that space ready to wake up to. And these are probably the first tools I recommend for managing your to-do lists and getting ideas off your mind so you can focus on having them. Now, number three on my list is getting started. It's hard, right? Avoiding procrastination and distractions can be really difficult. My favorite solution for this usually relates to blocking out those distractions in the first place. So if you easily get distracted by your phone, check out the app OneSec. It will ask you if you really want to click through to that social media app or whatever it is. And you know what? Most of the time when I see that little check-in, I realize I'm just clicking automatically, and I don't. So another good tip is to set up your phone to go black and white or into a focus mode when you want to avoid it. Setting your screen to black and white is surprisingly useful for not getting drawn in to your apps. Or just use my minimal icon packs that you can download via the description. Sorry, that is a shameless plug, but it's why I created them in the first place, you know, relevance. Yeah. Now, many of us wait for motivation or inspiration to get us started, but Tim Pitchell says motivation should follow action. So set yourself what's called an implementation intention to get around this, i.e. identify the smallest first action to get you started and then what that would follow on from. So say, when I make my morning coffee, I'll sit down at the computer and open what I need to start on my first task. So what about staying focused? Well, there is one game-changing productivity tool I love to help with that. But before that, if you want to learn some more about some of these ideas and the thinking we're talking about here, but like me, you often just don't have the time to find and read the books and references that will ultimately be most helpful to you, This is how I've been solving that problem for years. Shortform is, in my opinion, the world's best non-fiction book summary tool. They've even recently added a new AI summary browser extension, which will summarize anything, really. Shortform summarizes the key ideas of books through condensed views, and it's not only saved me time and money, it's also helping me go faster in discovering great knowledge to feed into my work. This app is not intended to replace you reading books, but it's been a true game changer for me in quickly discovering ideas, and then a great way to recap ideas from other books that I read a while ago. I used it for this video to look back at Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. There's always a one-pager covering the main ideas, and then chapter-by-chapter summaries that happen in detail. But I think my favourite thing is that Shortform goes further and builds on ideas from books by suggesting alternative viewpoints in Shortform notes. So that means that you don't just read in a bubble, you can discover other perspectives that might have been published since. It helped me, for example, discover a great range of books I hadn't heard of on procrastination, like The Now Habit and Willpower. Really good stuff. So give it a try and do a bit of deep work on subjects like self-improvement, productivity, entrepreneurship. You can access Shortform for free through my special link, and that'll give you 5 days unlimited access and then a 20% discount on the annual subscription when you're joining. That's essentially 2.5 months free, so thanks Shortform for sponsoring the video. So, how do we stay focused and avoid that dreaded procrastination? Well, first up, I personally find that the biggest challenge can be when you're facing the whole task and project in one go, you can't start, right? So I love using a Pomodoro counter to overcome this. Essentially, the Pomodoro technique focuses on setting a 25-minute timer and just working for that period of time. And then if you want, you can have a little bit of time off and go back and do it again. But somehow, just knowing you're only committing to doing 25 minutes, that for me has been the most surprisingly powerful tool to both getting started and then staying focused. And I personally actually find that once I'm going, I will usually work for much longer than 25 minutes, but it's a great way to make sure I get into that kind of flow state. My favorite app to do this with is Minimalist. It's a to-do list app that I use on my iPad. Bad name, great app. I mentioned it on my iPad tips video recently, and it's got a really cool built-in Pomodoro timer within that really beautiful looking to-do list app, so check it out. In fact, it's how I wrote this very video. Now, I also find that treating my work session like I'm watching my favorite TV show is a great trick. Hear me out here. Imagine you settle in, put on a great pair of noise-cancelling headphones to get the best out of it, add some snacks and a nice drink, and press play on the focus music instead of the movie, but you get the concept. Number 5 is use a time tracking app. Why? Well, not only can they remind you to refocus, like I find my app of choice Rise does, with a little notification that pops up when I shift between different apps, but they will actually help us also really appreciate and celebrate the time and progress we have made. Getting that feeling of joy and satisfaction goes a really long way to keeping us moving forward. Well, I hope that this is helping you out. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe here if you haven't yet. And I recommend watching one of these videos next that I mentioned earlier, ways to do less, but do it better. Yeah, good one, right? I'd better get back to creating. See you later.